Hey, music lovers, welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by and saying hi. I know it's been a few months since I've shot a video. I took some time off and glad to be back. Currently coming to you from Nashville, Tennessee, my old stomping grounds. Decided to come back for a visit to check out King Crimson at the Ryman Auditorium. That was on Friday night. What a mind-blowing show, and I'll get to that in just a little bit. But also this afternoon, I caught this great new documentary at the Belcourt Theater called The Sound of My Voice. Great documentary about Linda Ronstadt, and I highly encourage you to check it out. It is amazing. It's heartbreaking. It's a lot of things. Saw some footage in there I had never seen before, learned things about her that I didn't know, and you really get a sense of who she was and who she is. And, Linda Ronstadt is one of these artists that, she doesn't write her own songs. She's not a songwriter. She is a singer, first and foremost, but she has this ability to take other people's songs and turn them into her own to the point where you forget that there was an original. Take like You're No Good, one of her best songs, #1 hit. When's the last time you ever heard that original? I don't even know the last time I can't even remember it. And that's the thing with her. You go up and down her entire playlist and you'll see a lot of songs there that, she made her own. And you don't even think about the original. That was one of the most amazing things about Linda. And also how, she jumped from being a rock star at the height of her success. She changed gears and started singing like Mexican music and standards and all this other type of stuff, just because that's what she wanted to do. That's what was inside her. That's what she felt like, as long as she was singing something that she was passionate about, it didn't matter what it was. And she proved it time and time again that she could master anything that she got her hands on and her voice wrapped around. And so it was just a tremendously entertaining and, like I said, a heartbreaking documentary. She has Parkinson's disease now. And so, she hasn't been able to sing. She lost her voice, started losing it around 2000. And by 2009 or so, she knew that something was really, really wrong, got a diagnosis of it in 2013, and she hasn't been singing for at least a decade. But it's great that Linda is alive to see this documentary through. She very much was a part of it. She even narrates it. She's in it. I'm not going to ruin the ending for you, but you definitely want to check out The Sound of My Voice, the new Linda Ronstadt documentary, all right? And let me know what you thought about it, too. All right, so King Crimson, yeah, I saw them at the Ryman, and I debated what kind of video I was going to make about Crimson because, I don't know very many people who even like them, to be honest with you. I don't know that anybody in this audience, in my subscriber base, really cares about Crimson. If you do, let me know. Put it down below. Maybe I'll do a more in-depth video on them. So I'm going to keep this video. I'm going to try to make it as brief as I can. Even out of all my friends, I've probably got a couple that even care about Crimson. So I'm used to being in the minority here, but I've always found Crimson fascinating. They break all the rules you could possibly have, A lot of bands try to keep the original lineup. They try to stay together. Crimson does the opposite. The original lineup didn't even make it to the second album, let alone 50 years later. And, the band leader, Robert Fripp, he's the guy that is, this is his band. He does everything he can to break the band up every so many years. He'll have a really great lineup, and then he'll just say, all right, we're done. And the band will go away for a number of years. They'll come back with a whole new lineup or a reconfigured lineup, and it still kicks ass. It's still very interesting, innovative, breaking ground. And the latest incarnation of King Crimson is no different. All right, so I'll talk more about the band as I walk through the set list. But one of the things that was pretty apparent to me when I got to the show was that there weren't going to be any cameras or any cell phone video or any of that allowed, okay? There's a sign as soon as I got in there, please no cell phones, heckling, photos, video, talking, texting, or recording devices of any kind during this performance. Violators will be ejected. So I'm starting to get a sense here that they don't want any photos. Okay, so I walk inside. There's the attendants there ready to greet you, look at your ticket, walk you to your seat. They're standing with signs, kind of like you go to the airport and they got your name on it so they can take you to your cab or whatever. Well, they have signs saying very similar things. No cameras, no cell phones, no nothing. So I get to my seat. I got a pretty good idea of what they expect. All right. I get to my seat. I look at the stage, and there's two big signs on the stage. Now that you are in the venue, please refrain from taking any pictures using a camera or your phone until the very end of the show. You may be asked to leave. So I'm really, under the impression that they don't want any photos. Mr. Fripp, I get it. I totally get it. As a matter of fact, I'm starting to wonder if these fucking signs are going to come down. Like, is the band going to play behind these signs? Like, am I going to be able to see Fripp because he's behind a sign that says don't take any photos? I don't know. But fortunately, the signs came down. And but we're not over yet, because over the loudspeaker came Mr. Fripp himself, the King of Crimson. And these are his words.
Refrain, please, from videoing and recording on any of those wonderful little pieces of technology that you might have. Enter the moment, use your eyes to video and your ears to record, and let's have a party.
All right, so at this point, I'm kind of sold on the idea that they don't want photos. And I certainly didn't drive all the way to Nashville to get thrown out by Robert Fripp. Okay, so, all right. I normally take video during the concert, to insert in these types of videos. But just so you know, there won't be any footage during the show. And it actually was quite refreshing to be at a show and not have a bunch of cameras popping up and all that. So I totally get it. Even when I went to the Linda Ronstadt movie that I was talking about earlier, they put a thing up on the screen before the film started saying, don't use your cell phone at all. And if you see anybody turn their cell phone on, let us know. We'll take care of it. I even heard a woman in the back of the theater calling out this other woman, like, turn your cell phone off, please. Like, it's starting to get militant. I even read this article recently about these theaters up in New York. They're starting to test people putting their phones into these boxes, so I guess they don't make noise, or I don't know what the deal is. But, there is one solution. Don't bring the fucking thing in. How about that? You can survive without your cell phone. Believe me, I've been on this earth long enough to know you can survive your childhood. You can go to work. You can get in your car without a fucking cell phone. It is possible, folks. All right, so let's walk through Crimson's set list for the show on Friday. And they kick it off with the Hellhounds of Crim, which is basically a drum piece. Now, this band has got 3 drummers. When have you ever heard that? A band having 3 drummers. Not only do they have 3 drummers, but they're on the front row. Usually, if a band were to have 3 drummers, they'd be in the back. And who's in the front? The singer, the guitar player, those types. The people who lead the band. Well, Crimson doesn't really have a leader. I mean, well, sure, Fripp is the leader. He's the founder. He is the shit when it comes to this band. But in the live scenario, there is no leader. There is no front man. They come at you as a 7-piece band. And the lead singer and the guitar players and everything, the sax, they're on the back row. Drums are on the front row. And so they come out, all of them come out, and the drummers start Hellhounds of Crim, this great drum piece. It goes on for many, many minutes, and the other guys are just standing there watching, and you don't see that really in a rock band. Usually if there's any kind of a solo piece in any rock band, the other guys are backstage, they're taking a piss, they're getting who knows what done under the stage, or snorting blow or whatever. In Crimson, they're standing there, with the band, with the guys doing their solos, and it's just something you don't normally see. But anyway, after that, they go into Pictures of a City, great tune from the second album, which has got a saxophone in it. Mel Collins is on sax, and he used to be in the band back in the 70s, and now he's back. King Crimson hasn't had a saxophone in it for decades. It's a great texture to have back in the band again. They can go back and do these kinds of songs. After that, Suitable Grounds for the Blues. That's a new song that they're kind of working on. No talk yet of a new studio album. Then they do Circus, which is from the third album, Lizard. I mean, we're talking about some deep, deep stuff here that I, quite frankly, never thought they would ever play live. But they pull it out and they kick ass on it. Then they do Red, which is from the days when the band was a trio. I know there's 7 guys now, but they did have a point where they were just down to 3. It was Robert Fripp and John Wetton and Bill Bruford on drums, and Red is from that era. Really great to see that. Then they pull out Epitaph, which is from the first album. A great rendition of that. Electric, a later day tune. And then they do Moonchild. Moonchild this is the first tour that they've ever done this song live. This song goes back to their debut album. It's 50 years old. I would have never in a million years have ever guessed that they would have done that. And then they do Radical Action 2, which again is a newer song. And then Level 5, that's a song from the 2000s. Great way to end out the first set. And as Robert Fripp said before the show when he was making his announcement about the cameras, he said basically there's going to be a 20-minute intermission, and it's going to come after the last song of the first set and before the first song of the second set. So Robert Fripp, very precise with what he expects and what's going to happen. All right, so let's get into the second set here. It kind of starts off like the first set with a 3-piece drum extravaganza. It gets kicked off with Drumzilla. And, a lot of people have asked, why do you need 3 drummers, And it's because they don't all play the same thing. One drummer might be playing the cymbals, another one might be playing the toms or doing something different. And then there's times where they will play off of each other. One of the drummers in this band is a guy by the name of Pat Mastelotto. And Pat used to be in Mr. Mister. Remember that band? Broken Wings, Kyrie. You would have never in a million years have ever thought this guy would be in Crimson. But the fact is that it was his dream to be in this band. And he is in heaven. And he is great. He's been with them since, I think, 94. Bill Bruford passed the baton to Pat back in the 90s, because when that version of the band came back in the 90s, it was a drum duo. It was Bill Bruford and Pat Mastelotto, and they were both in the band doing drums, and so eventually Bill retired, and Pat has been the main drummer for the band for the past 20 plus years. And he's like the leader of these guys, of the whole drumming section, and so he'll play a part, and then the other guys will watch him and they'll play off of it. And it's almost like watching a tennis match. They just kind of play off of one another. There's an improvisational aspect to how they play, so that it's different every single night. And it's just, like I said, this is part of what made it very, very fascinating. After the whole Drumzilla thing, they do Cat Food. And Cat Food is a song that I never in a million years would have thought that Crimson would have dug out. It's from the second album, In the Wake of Poseidon. It was originally sung by Greg Lake, and it's kind of a jazzy tune. It actually wouldn't have sounded too much out of place on the first ELP album, which was the band that Greg Lake joined after he left Crimson. It sounds like it could have been on the first album from ELP, or maybe an outtake or something with a few minor adjustments. But always loved Cat Food, always did, and just a real pleasure to see it live. I would have never thought that I would have ever gotten to see it. Somebody even shouted Cat Food at the beginning of the show. Kind of like somebody yelling Freebird, that's what happens at a Crimson concert, is people yell Cat Food. But after that, we get to Frame by Frame, another one of my favorites from the Adrian Belew era. And then we get Lark's Tongue and Aspic Part 4, which is more of a later day tune. Islands is the next one, and Islands is one of those songs that, again, I never would have ever imagined that they would have pulled this out. A real deep track from an obscure part of the Crimson catalog, and they pull it out. And one of the things that they do is they keep the bones of these songs, but they add like a whole new breath of life into them. They can flesh them out with the 3 drummers and the sax and all that stuff, and they really do these songs justice in a way that they've never been able to before. After that, it's Easy Money, and then we get to Indiscipline, which is a track from the Adrian Belew era. And what I liked about this song was how Jacko Jaksic, who's the lead singer in Crimson now, he redoes the Adrian Belew vocal, which originally was more of a, he was talking through the vocal, Adrian, originally, but Jacko sings it. And so he gives the vocal treatment. It's a whole different vocal treatment. That's one of the great things about Ric Ocasek, who is the lead singer now. He has the ability to sing any era. He can sing all of them. I've never seen anybody be able to effortlessly sing John Wetton and Greg Lake and Adrian Belew. He does it all, and he's got such a great voice. And then they do the Court of the Crimson King, which is from the first album, 50 years old now. Great version of that. They play most of the first album. Except for I Talk to the Wind. You get the whole debut album here, which, as I've mentioned, is celebrating 50 years now. And then they close out the first set with Starless, which is just a beautiful song. And it's really, you know, it's just a period piece. Starless is just incredible. Great song from the John Wetton era. And then they close out the show with 21st Century Schizoid Man, which is my favorite King Crimson song. It's just completely mad. It's just a bizarre song that really got my attention the first time I ever heard it. It really just blew me away, and it still blows me away. Jacko singing this song, there was an effect on his voice. He sounded just like Greg Lake 50 years ago. So overall, you know, this was just such an enjoyable show. It blew my mind. It's totally worth the trip. No question about it. Can't wait to go see him again. If you know somebody who is a drummer and they love drums, you got to go see this show. They've probably never seen anything like it. And of course, you get to see Tony Levin. He's a part of the band. Tony Levin is on bass and stick. He's been with the band on and off since the 80s. And Tony, of course, has played with Peter Gabriel ever since Peter Gabriel went solo. Tony's been right there on bass, both in the studio and also live. All right, so before I wrap up this video, I wanted to talk about a few things having to do with this channel and what's going to be coming up next. Now, I recently put up a poll asking you guys what you wanted me to do for my next video. I had seen a bunch of shows this year, and I'm going to be talking about all of those, but Yes won the poll. And so I'm going to be doing a video about Yes. There's so much to talk about there. And then after that, we lost a couple of big heavyweights from the 70s and 80s. Eddie Money passes away. Ric Ocasek of the Cars passes away. And now we've got Ginger Baker who's critically ill. What's going on with that? And I come to Nashville and I see this great documentary, this great show from Crimson, and I feel like I got to make a video. I can't wait to do Yes. Like I got to pull a Fripp. I got to break the rules here. So just know that those videos are coming. They may not be coming in the order that you expected, but they're going to be coming very soon. And other changes are in the works. When I get back to Virginia, I'm going to be moving from my space that you're used to seeing me in. I may not even be shooting any videos in that space that you've seen me. I'm going to be going to a new place. It should be much better for shooting videos. I'm really excited about it. I'm also going to be going to Florida next week. So I'm going to be hopefully shooting some stuff there. So what I'll be shooting, what order, I'm not exactly sure, but it's coming. I just want you to know that. Thanks for hanging in here with me. I really appreciate it. Give me any feedback, drop it down below in the comments. Be sure to click like and subscribe. And thanks so much for checking out this video, and I'll be back soon with more, all right? Talk to you soon. Take care.